I'm here. Let me see what I can. Cities under heavy fire. Heavy fire. That's okay. Here. Let me see what I can. That's okay. Trash fire, heavy fire. Explosions everywhere. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Maybe I'll advertise. Hello, fake Kyle Parker. The city's on fire. We are under attack. There are loud explosions outside the window. Missiles, drones, what have you. And my chest still hurts. I made some tea though. So there you have it. If the city gets hit, if the apartment gets hit by a drone, then it's been nice knowing you. Apparently some residential buildings have been hit. Because Russia is Russia. How are you? Shall we do some politics? It's good that they did not include him. Oh, it's Xanderhal again. The screen is black? Yeah, I know, I still haven't. Oh, this is scary. Yeah, you know. It is what it is. It's like a lottery. Welcome, Lisa. It's okay. If anything happens to me, you're still well, and you're me, so basically it's like it's as if nothing happened to me. Wait, hold on, let me check. Oh yeah, it's on. Mass media reports of explosions. Not that I have to read about it, I can hear it. Oh my gosh. Fire damage reported at multiple residential buildings amid ongoing missile drone strikes in Kyiv. What does it sound? Yeah. I like pets, so probably I would choose cat. Oh my god, my chest hurts. Aww. I love German Shepherds. Are you underground? No, I'm on the 8th. I'm I'm in an I'm in an apartment on an upper floor. I'm at the worst possible place possible during an attack like this. I'm definitely not underground. Wanna watch a debate? Alright, let's watch a debate. Let's watch a debate. Also, thank you for being here, Lisa. I appreciate it. You're helping me to become a small streamer from a micro streamer. Yeah, tonight's very heavy. Oh yeah, if the stream dies, that means that there was a blackout because we're getting pounded tonight. Explosions everywhere. Residential buildings being hit. All that jazz. Okay, we're gonna watch a wig debate. I'm actually not sure if I have the strength to do any serious content. The chest thing is getting bad. Or we can watch some trash fire. Maybe we will lure our favorite viewer. I'm here to watch a trash fire. Mm. Anti-air teams working. I can hear them shooting like their guns. I can hear anti-air. Hmm. Oh. Okay, it's time. The buzzing is very close. Yeah, tonight's very intense. Tonight's actually very intense. I didn't expect there to be such an intense attack tonight. Is she willing to talk either way? Wait, who? What are you talking about? What? What do you mean? Okay, let's watch.
That you would scold. I mean, obviously, you understand. It would.
On a moral aspect, from a moral level, on a philosophical level.
Yeah, I'm keeping one eye here free to listen out. Me? Oh, hello, Grizzler. I don't think I've seen you here. Have I seen you here before, Grizzler? My apologies. I feel like it's been at least a long time since you've watched the stream. Or is this your first time? Fess up, Grizzler.
Let's do it.
Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of Wick TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues,
I'm gonna go to the
political
corridor
and
if things go
cultural,
bad.
from the silly to the serious. And gang, today we have a little bit of a philosophical debate.
Oh gosh, this is gonna be good. Wick is having a philosophical debate. Oh boy, Wick is doing philosophy. Kyiv's on fire, and I'm listening to Wick doing philosophy. Nope. I can go to the corridor in the apartment. That's the safest option that I've got. I'm also checking news on Twitter because this unfolds. Total madness in Kyiv now, so loud. Are you okay? I just saw a Kyiv apartment building like yours on fire. Attack with drones on Kyiv is ongoing. Strike UAVs from Chernihiv and Zhytomyr regions heading towards Kyiv and its agglomeration. A permanent ballistic threat from Bryansk is ongoing. I'm reading out Twitter feed. Ukrainian forces report Russian missiles striking Kyiv and surrounding areas. Russian are absolute bastards. I don't remember Kyiv ever being hit by this many ballistic missiles at once. See, I'm always in Kyiv when records are being broken when it comes to attacks. And I'm always... But Grizzler, are you a new viewer? Have I seen you before? I have a feeling that you don't often come to my stream. So yeah, I'm here for all the... I don't know. Record attacks. Apartment buildings are burning after Shahid strikes. Do you know any of your neighbors? My neighbors are 80 years old or something. I'm from Sunday and Brooks. Yeah, but is this your first time watching me? That is my question. And have I earned you as my viewer? Will you help me become a small streamer? Do you want me to introduce myself? Do you know me? Should I introduce myself? Before we move on with the slop content, which is Wick TV. Yeah, sorry, kinda. Okay, I'll introduce myself. I'm Lucy Hadza. I'm the biggest Polish political trans streamer. And also, I mainly do history. I cover the news, politics. I'm a bit of an artist as well. I do languages sometimes, but rarely. Not very popular content. And I also do gaming. And I traveled to Ukraine to do journalism on children. Children in war, kidnapped children, children in occupied territories, how the war affects children in general. I conduct interviews with people, with families and children. I'm planning to release them very soon. And yeah, I'm in Ukraine right now, as you can see. During some of the biggest attacks on Kyiv, on the capital. Yeah, there is no God. I'm not very religious. Oh yeah, I'm not very religious, I'm afraid. Kyiv faces another wave of missile attacks, residential buildings damaged amid rising tensions. Well, thankfully this one is not damaged yet. Also, I'm a micro streamer. I'm the biggest Polish trans streamer, but I'm also a very small streamer. All the same. So, please help me become a small streamer. I will consider myself a small streamer rather than a micro streamer when I'm able to have consistently 50 viewers on stream. Do you think it's possible? Do you think I have that potential? I'm a comedian? Wait, why am I a comedian? Wait, am I funny? What do you mean? What do you mean a comedian? Did I say something funny? Man, when I try to be funny, it never lands. But when I try to be super serious, I become a joke. All right, let's watch some Wick. Yes, I'm striving to have 50 consistent viewers.
On our hands, if you will, a strategic debate on our hands.
Strategic debate. Also, the internet might not be optimal because, you know, the city is on fire. But it says excellent connection, so maybe it'll be okay.
I had the privilege of watching Soy Pill here's latest video. Charlie Kirk was racist.
Privilege. I had the privilege of watching Soy Pill.
Charlie Racist in Peace, something like that, right? You should check it out. It's not too long. It's worth watching.
You know what? Actually, don't watch Soipil's video. You know what you should actually watch? Okay? I'm gonna... Hold on. You know what you should actually watch? And ironically, there you go. I'm never gonna miss a beat to recommend good content for you. Rather than Soipil's video, you should watch a documentary about Pokrovsk. Okay? A documentary about 1 year of reporting on Pokrovsk. There you go. If you really have to watch something, watch this. It's super long, but you know what? It's worth it. Okay? It's worth watching. I assure you. Hold on. I'm having technical problems as always. There you go. I'm logged in. Oh, I can. There you go. I mean, no disrespect, trying to be jovial, lighten the mood. It's okay. I appreciate you being here. Okay.
He made a comment near the end that I took a
I was genuinely asking if I actually said something funny. Also, don't worry. We will be laughing before long. We're watching a Wick debate, so... A philosophical Wick debate, which... Yeah, Wick the philosopher.
little bit of umbrage with, and I wanted to talk to him about it and discuss it with him.
Mm-hmm.
And the comment
Serious
you made
business.
was about Ezra Klein's op-ed piece right after Charlie Kirk died, and some of the things that were said in there. Can you just, for the audience, tell people kind of what you said in the video, kind of like TLDRs for it, so I don't misrepresent it?
So basically, Ezra Klein wrote a piece in op-ed that said Charlie Kirk did politics the right way. I was so disgusted by the political violence. Obviously, I think political violence is bad. We can both agree on that. Me and
Wick
you.
is easy to trigger, actually. So, I'm not surprised. How dare you! How dare you!
Were hamming on Destiny, and he called both of us optic cucks for the
I've
same
seen a few debates in which Wick was actually super triggered and
thing. But the implication that Charlie Kirk in any way was doing it the right way, when Charlie, like many pundits, especially right-wing pundits, are these obfuscating, lying, clip farming propagandist, is ridiculous to me, because I don't think he deserves brownie points just
I
for
mean, that is true. He was a propagandist. Charlie. Can we stop talking about Charlie Kirk? I'm so tired of Charlie Kirk. I've had enough of Charlie Kirk, okay? Listen, I think I've had enough of Charlie Kirk.
not being violent. Obviously, that's good, but that's the bare minimum. And I don't think he did politics the right way. I think he did it in ways that are very scummy and very bad.
I wasn't aware that Charlie Kirk did politics.
And then we get to the idea of what were his ideas and why would people be happy about the fact that he's not alive anymore. I think that you shouldn't endorse political violence, but if you want to celebrate that Charlie Kirk is no longer doing Charlie Kirk things, I think that's perfectly acceptable. And I'm not going to shame anyone who does it.
And this is where we have the major disagreement. So we do have a minor disagreement on, I guess, whether or not Ezra Klein was correct in putting out the op-ed piece he did in the context of the time that we were having, but I will get to that later. I wanted to talk to you about celebrating death and being happy when someone else dies or suffers some kind of misfortune or stumbles or what have you. I guess I have two contentions here. And you can decide which we talk about first. And I think both of them are interesting. I think they're semi-related, but we'll get into it. The first contention I would have
blood
with
libel.
this is that I think it.
I wanted to watch this because apparently sometimes along the way, Wick says that he would condemn anyone that would celebrate the death of Hitler, which is what? I'm sorry. If you were happy that Hitler died, then you were of questionable moral character, according to Wick. I have to hear it from his own mouth. I refuse to believe that he actually said that.
It makes you less good of a person when you start to celebrate the death or the misfortune of your enemies. I think it lowers your ability to empathize with others. It helps to dehumanize others. And I think it, again, it's not the hugest deal in the world, but it does make you a bit of a worse person. That's my first contention on a moral aspect, from a moral.
Whatever. I'm sorry. Whatever, Wick. I'm sorry. Also, what he just said is that you cannot celebrate the death itself, but you can celebrate the bad things happening during the person's life ending, which is not exactly the same.
Moral level, on a philosophical level, I think it is.
When Wick utters the word philosophy, I just laugh. How are you, hanging Vladimir? A lot of explosions here. Kyiv is being pounded. Pounded. Pounded.
Bad to be happy when something bad happens to someone you dislike or you hate, even if they are a bad person.
You're a bad. Wick is so clumsy with his words. You're bad when bad things happen, even if the person's bad. Oh my god. It's like listening to a kindergartner. At least 7 buildings are burning in Kyiv right now. Residential buildings, I take it. Jesus. I'm grateful that this building is not burning. Oh, the night's still young, technically speaking. It's 2 a.m., so... the night's still young. You probably shouldn't go on TikTok celebrating a father of 2 little kids, but he's kidding himself. I mean, it depends also, right? I think it's fair to be happy when a person like Stalin dies.
Objectively. Even Hitler, right? Even...
There you go, even Hitler.
Osama bin Laden, okay? I'm serious.
No, I'm glad you're giving these examples because this is the first thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
The idea that somehow this is morally reprehensible to celebrate the death of an enemy. And I was going to go through a spectrum of things because Charlie Kirk, I think, is way more near the middle, near the fence.
How many Hitlers is he on a scale of like, is
exactly
like 0.2
right.
Hitlers, 0.5 Hitlers? What are we talking
Well, I
about?
was going to start at the extreme, right? So you think it's bad for people to celebrate Hitler dying?
I think it makes you, it's immoral to celebrate the death of Hitler, yes. If you were...
What makes it immoral to celebrate?
Okay, that's just stupid. And Wick is just being very stupid here. I'm sorry. This is what I call being debate brain, by the way. Oh, I have to bite this bullet because I have to be consistent on my axioms and my I have to have my morals grounded and I have to need my axiomatics. And if I celebrate Hitler dying, then it makes me hypocritus, and that's good, not good. Oh, come on. Really?
Hitler's death. All right, Wick, you see a Jew has just been liberated out of a concentration camp in Auschwitz, and someone lets them know, by the way,
Death camp. Concentration camp is something different.
also Hitler just died, and you would go up and wag your finger and say, "How dare you?"
I don't think it would be moral to scold them at that point in time, given the thing that they just suffered. But I do think that it would be better for them if they, instead of celebrating the death of their enemy, celebrated the fact that they were free from.
This is such a fucking privileged position. I cannot state that enough. I just cannot state enough how much of a privileged position that is to take. Listen, Holocaust survivors, it would be better for you. It would be better for you if you celebrated this rather than that. Oh gosh. Oh, Wick TV. The relevant discussion is exactly how the devil is. This is so funny. I know. What the Wick? When I celebrate death, I celebrate that the person can no longer do harm, that was Soypill's argument, basically.
From oppression. And there is a difference here, and I want to hone in on this difference. There is a difference.
Is there a difference if their oppression ends because their enemy dies?
It's what you celebrate that matters, right? If what you're celebrating is like, oh, yes, I'm finally free. I don't have to worry about being put in concentration camps, at least not for a few years until Nicholas Fuentes comes back into the scene, and then maybe we have a problem again. But
what the fuck? Was he really trying to make a funny haha? The Holocaust has ended, at least for a bit. Wick. What the fuck?
Right? I think there's a difference between that and someone going like, yeah, that fucking guy, I hope he suffered. I hope he was like, I hope he's burning in hell right now. I think that there is a substantive difference between celebrating these two things. Do you understand what I'm getting at here?
I understand what you think. I fundamentally disagree. I don't think you can somehow separate the idea that the person who is making your life abhorrent and torturous dying isn't good, or you shouldn't be celebrating it, even though the thing that they did was bad, because a person is absolutely connected to the actions that they take. And if dying is the way you stop those actions, then you can absolutely celebrate that. There's nothing wrong with that, especially in the case of Hitler. Obviously, there are cases, there's a spectrum to this, and you and I would agree, like, hey, I have a teacher who's mean to me and they died. Yeah, that would be pretty, I think, maybe bad for your character to celebrate the fact that, well, your teacher isn't super nice to you, but like you shouldn't want them to be dead. That's like a very extreme thing. But the fact that you wouldn't even do it for Hitler, that you would scold, I mean, obviously you understand it would not be the time or the place to scold them post liberation, but the idea that they're somehow at all morally
Yeah, what if let's say that the same survivor of Auschwitz-Birkenau of the death camp 50 years later said, yeah, I'm glad that Hitler died. Would then Wick say, you're a worse person, you're a bad person, Holocaust survivor X, you're a bad person for saying that you're glad that Hitler died? You should do better. You should be a better person. Random Free PO says, it depends on what the death represents and what the impact on their life was. Kirk just isn't comparable to Hitler, regardless what you think of him being dead. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just staggered by the fact that Wick would be like, yeah, I think people that celebrated Hitler's death were just morally questionable individuals.
A moral failing on the character of a Jewish person celebrating the end of the Holocaust because they killed Hitler is so ridiculous. Like I want to call you an optics cuck. Like how? Like what is?
You can call me that if you like, but you'd be wrong.
And what's correct.
Wrong with it? What is wrong? What is the moral stain of celebrating Hitler's death?
Hate, as well as empathy, are habits.
No, they're not. Empathy is not a habit. That's stupid. What? Empathy is not a habit. What? Also, hate is not a habit. Those are not habits. Also, drones and missiles still. Currently, the city of Kyiv and the Kyiv region are under a massive attack from the enemy missiles and various types of drones. Yeah, that sucks. Sucks to be me right now. And many other people. I'm sorry, I'm just looking for reports.
They are habits. They are skills in a sense, right?
No, in no sense are those skills. You're too video game brained.
The more we do it, the more likely it is we are to do it in the future. And when we stop...
No, that's not how empathy works. Empathy is not a muscle. You can just go to the gym and train. I think it's... I read it out and I think I agree with that. I agree that it's okay to celebrate the person no longer being able to do harm. Yeah. I think that's perfectly reasonable. There's habitual elements to your disposition towards others, but calling it a habit implies conscious effort that isn't real. Yeah, exactly. I could not have worded it better. Cheering the end of the war and cheering his death are two different things. I mean, I think it's fine to cheer for the... I think it's fine to cheer the death of the orchestrator of the war.
doing it, let me finish, right? When we stop doing it, right? Or when we turn off our empathy for someone simply because they're a bad person, it makes it harder to start up again. It's a habit, and it's...
That's not true. That's not true at all. That's bullshit.
Habit forming.
No, that's not a habit. Having empathy is not something that you can train yourself, like brushing teeth or washing dishes after yourself. It's not a habit.
When you begin down that path of even justifiably in your mind hating someone who died enough to celebrate their death, it makes it easier to do it. It desensitizes you.
Yeah, no, I mean, what you're saying is like this slippery slope argument, and I don't even necessarily disagree. I don't think it's 100% fallacious, but you're ignoring the idea that there are ever criteria where it makes perfect sense to celebrate someone's death. Like again, we picked the extreme case. I can't believe you're defending this one, which is Hitler.
Yeah, especially from the perspective of Jewish people that survived the Holocaust. It's ridiculous. The cracks in the Western over-moralizing are starting to grow. Yeah, I know. That's just stupid. I'm sorry. As a person that is from Warsaw, the place where the Warsaw Ghetto was, that's just stupid.
Versus like, yeah, if you start to celebrate any person who's negatively affected Jews' death, like every time, like this is kind of like that Black Mirror episode where it's like, okay, someone says something mean to you at a coffee shop, bam, 1 star out of 5, suddenly they're a pariah, their life is ruined. It causes this weird like social animosity where everyone's always at each other's throats, everyone just wants everyone else to always be positive to them. I understand that. But that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about someone living in abject, destitute misery.
And yes, I think Faith Parker has the right of it. Celebrating that the person can no longer do harm. That is the key.
Family being slaughtered, and the end to that, celebrating the end to that, which can only come...
Wait, can you not increase your capacity for empathy? Yeah, but there is no way to just train it like a habit. It's not a statistic trait that you're born with or no, but it's not really Yeah, it is shaped by experiences, but it's not like you cannot just set it like a habit. Habit is a repeated behavior. You cannot just decide, oh, I'm gonna practice my empathy 5 times per day until it becomes habit and it becomes automatic. Like, oh, I will sweep the floor every day until it becomes habit. That's not how empathy works.
In certain cases from the death of the person doing it, and that somehow being a path towards normalizing it. Well, I don't think that celebrating Hitler is going to lead you to celebrating if your like mean teacher got hit by a car. So
True, I don't think celebrating Hitler's death will desensitize people to harm.
this is why it's like ridiculous to me that you can't somehow separate these two things, one being the extreme case of someone doing something awful, abjectly awful to you, just one of the worst things a human being can do to someone, and being like, thank God that fuck is dead, and then saying, well, this might lead to people celebrating deaths that I'm not okay with. I don't get it. I don't know where you're coming from. I genuinely don't see how these things can't be a dichotomy in your brain.
Because I don't think you can disconnect these things. Humans don't really disconnect these things. And doing it once makes it more likely you will do it again
In
and
Poland?
again. And this works both for the hatred
In
and
Poland,
also the
Grizzler?
empathy, right?
Or where?
And I think it's a very, again, slippery slope. But it's
No.
not fallacious, right? It's actually slippery. And I started at the high end. And look, I'll be real with you. The chances of it going further for a lot of people aren't very high. But the fact that the chance is there and not celebrating it costs you nothing. You lose nothing. Like nothing is lost if you decide to take the better route. And in fact, you do gain something by taking what I would consider the better route. You
Again, an extremely privileged position. The extremely privileged position on Wix part, unironically.
exercise your empathy. If you are able to empathize with Hitler, you're going to be able to empathize with pretty much anyone, right? You're going to be able to empathize.
Like, it's so easy to talk like that when you're just sitting at your on your ass, safe in the US. Yeah, just exercise your empathy. Be the better person. That is God. If there ever was a situation in which the word privilege fit, it's here. Random 3PO. One of the problems is that both sides tend to use a moralistic framework rather than a pragmatic one. Either is condemning it or in overemphasizing the effects of individuals and their punishment. He's just finger wagging. Yeah. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. My grandfather was taken to a camp with great grandfather in Germany.
With
Us
the
Jews
immigrant,
can be pretty
the
annoying.
poor, all these people. What did you say? I didn't hear you.
I said I can empathize insofar as us Jews can be pretty annoying, but again, now this is curious to me. This idea of empathy. Actually, I just had a super chat mention this, and I was thinking the same thing. What about the empathy for the victims of the fucking Holocaust, Wick? What if I am celebrating the end of the Holocaust, which could only in some ways come from the death of Hitler, and say,
Yeah.
thank God, I love that all those people that I care about are now not suffering anymore. Isn't that like
That's not suffering death.
unfathomably more empathy for the
It's
victims?
connected. I'm sorry to say, it is connected to the celebration of the death, whether you like it or not.
Who are now celebrating them getting released than I do for the guy who did all the torturous, awful inhuman things.
So first of all, I don't think that you can only have empathy
Yes, Soipel is Jewish, just like me.
for one or the other in these cases. And in fact, I think having empathy for one makes it easier for you and more likely that you're going to have empathy for the other. Again, it's a muscle. You exercise it, right?
No,
and the more you
no, it's not a muscle.
exercise
You cannot consciously just exercise empathy. How would you even do that? How would you go about? Like, you cannot just flip your emotions. You cannot just choose, oh, I choose empathy, I choose to not, you cannot choose not to be happy about something. That's not how emotions work. You cannot just flip your emotions. What did you hear? Was that audible? I don't think you've heard the explosion, but yeah, tonight's rough. Gonna save that. Another explosion in central Kyiv. Oh my goodness. Well, you're getting a live feed from the bombing.
The stronger it grows. And again, I would argue that celebrating
Like literally, you cannot just, oh, I choose to use my empathy. I choose to put points into my empathy skill, and it grows stronger. That's just not how emotions work. Yeah, that's true, Lisa. I agree with that.
the fact that these people have been freed from the concentration camp is not the same thing as celebrating that Hitler died. These are very different
What if Hitler
things.
dying is the reason that the concentration camps were
Like choosing, even if you are like, okay, I choose not to engage in hate, or I choose not to engage in super being happy about his death. That does not automatically mean that you empathize with Hitler and that your empathy points will somehow rise. That's not how that works at all. At all. I
liberated.
have no idea where this whole idea came onto Wick's head that empathy is some muscle that you can just train.
Or let me give you a more modern example.
Okay.
What if killing Putin would end the war in Ukraine?
Then Putin should die. I'm not a pacifist. I think that people
Would
should.
you celebrate that Putin is dead?
No.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
celebrate
not?
that Ukraine is free.
What if Putin dying was the way that Ukraine is to be free, and you're celebrating the fact
Sometimes
that
that's a
Putin died?
necessary thing, but I don't think we should celebrate the fact. Like, well, let me ask you a question, right? If we had a cop, okay, and this cop, we
Okay.
recognize that laws have to be enforced. Bad people are out in the streets. We have to put them in prison. Sometimes a bad person has to be killed. Every time this soldier or this cop
Random 3PO says, I think it's obvious that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Here, it's just that the obvious conclusion from doing so is that walking counts more than chewing gum, so to speak. Yeah, I agree. I mean, some people care more about the gum. I get your point. Also, press like on the stream. Press like. Then consider going to my page and donating or subscribing for my journalisms.
took someone in or arrested someone or killed a bad guy, even if they're like
A
the
bad
worst of
guy.
the worst, like the mini Hitlers
The language of Wick, the bad guy.
of the world, okay? They got off sexually to it. They would publicly be like, yeah, I loved when I shot that guy in the back of the skull with the bullet, and they start like jerking it a little bit on the screen. What would you do? You think that person should be in that position, like as a soldier or cop?
What the fuck is this messed up example? I swear, online debates are just stupid. Online debates are just stupid.
Execution or whatever. Would you be comfortable with someone?
What a surreal moment when I hear explosions from drones and missiles outside, and here on screen I'm listening, oh yeah, what if this cop jerked it a little bit to killing some bad guy? Oh god, what a surreal existence I'm living right now. This is so stupid. This is what debate brain does to you, unironically. This is what being to debate brain does to you. Start fantasizing about scenarios in which cops jerk it when they kill a bad guy.
Who get sexually and derive sexual pleasure and celebration after they kill their enemies.
Depends on if it makes
It
them
sounds like a weird, very
more effective police officer. I mean, if I'm taking it seriously, if you had some sycophant,
yeah, I would never take this serious. I was just
that got off to the violence of being a police officer. The police officer's primary purpose is not to commit violence, it's to enforce the laws. And if they're seeking out violence, if they're seeking out that sort of sexual gratification, then yeah, I can see how that would be a problem, because they're probably going to do a bad job. They're probably going to make judgment calls that will put them in more violent situations.
Yes.
And if this is at all analogous to a Jewish
yes. What is? I don't even know what point Wick is trying to make here, to be quite honest.
person celebrating the end of Hitler because somehow then they would.
Is he like saying that people that celebrated the death of Hitler will be more prone to seek out situations in which... What is he saying? Could he proverbially keep his imaginary penis in his pants? No. It's
would
Wick.
be seeking out
We're talking about Wick here.
the death of more, I don't know, dictators,
More Hitlers,
or persecutors, or Holocaust people, like people who like perpetuated it. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's a problem nearly close to your analogy, where
you
a
don't
cop
see
would seek out more violence.
how it might become an issue if someone derives pleasure from the suffering of others that they consider bad. You don't see how that could end up creating this kind of perverse incentive.
What the fuck is he talking about? What the fuck? Yes. Yes. Jewish people surviving the Holocaust being happy about Hitler dying will mean that they will find some sexual gratification from people dying. Yes, yes, Wick. This is brilliant. Brilliant. Also, alarm has been renewed, so we're not out of the woods yet, not by a long shot. Tonight is a very extreme attack on Kyiv. Very, very extreme attack on the capital. It is. Also, I'm gonna read Vladimir's comment in a moment. Massive Russian attack. Oh gosh. I think about more gross thing, but since we started to talk about empathy for Hitler, I'm like, oh, okay, we're really doing that Wick, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Bear in mind, Vladimir, also, people have been scolded for... He also scolded people for potentially being happy about Putin dying, so just so you know.
Where they would continue to seek suffering of others.
I just admitted, yes. If in your cop example, that's a perfect example of, yeah, this could absolutely be bad, especially...
It's really funny to me when Wick says, yeah, it would be so bad to celebrate Putin's death, as I listen to the explosions outside. Wick is such a weirdo, I swear.
Especially because this person has power over society.
But I would argue... I would argue that this happens on a smaller scale too, when we celebrate the death of our enemies.
Show me an example of the people... Well, actually, I can think one. Let's see if you do. The people who celebrated the death of Hitler, that mindset leading them to more hate and not happiness and gratification that their suffering is ending.
You don't think that the fact that some people celebrated the death of
Hitler... Oh my god. Look at this. Look, you don't think...
Hitler kind of messed them up emotionally?
No. I think there were what the fuck, Wick? You know what? I'm gonna bet $5,000 that they were probably things during World War II that messed people up emotionally more than celebrating the death of Hitler. You know what? I'm willing to bet. I'm very confident that I would win this bet. Whoever would make it with me.
Morally.
Yeah, of all the things that happened during World War II, it was the celebration of Hitler's death that messed people up the most emotionally. Yeah, if you're a Holocaust survivor, then you sure were messed up emotionally by your celebration of Hitler's death. I cannot emphasize enough how much the word privilege fits this exact scenario. I'm actually pissed off by this. I'm actually pissed off.
Like that? You don't think that
No.
occurred at all in no
No.
instance?
No. Yeah, I'm gonna say no, and you're stupid.
Not even a little bit. Well,
Not
here,
even a little bit.
Not even a little bit, and you're stupid.
let's say this. I celebrate the death of Hitler, or the death of Osama bin Laden. Do you think this has somehow made me a worse person? This has
Yes.
clouded my judgment, and it's going to lead me to more violence.
Yes. Wick's answer is yes. God damn, Wick. God damn. I know you've got some stupid takes, but come on, man. Come on.
I think it makes you more likely to dehumanize other people in the future. Yes, I absolutely do.
Okay,
Junior,
so the
stupid.
option to
Well, do you think that that's
potentially-
bad? Dehumanizing people. Can we agree on this?
dehumanizing people who don't
Dehumanizing people
deserve it
in
is
general,
bad.
as a rule, shouldn't do it. Bad.
Sure.
Okay.
I wouldn't even. In fact, even for Nazis, I think dehumanizing Nazis is bad, not because they don't deserve some sort of vitriol and bad treatment, but because when you dehumanize Nazis, the implication is
I'm
that
gonna give a hot take. I think you can be happy that someone's gone without dehumanizing them. I think you can recognize them as human. I think you can perfectly recognize their humanity and still be glad that they're gone. I said it. I said it. Pickalical Parker, thank you for the $5. Lucy wants a war criminal to stop killing people. She's worse than Putin and Stalin and Satan and Beerus combined. Beerus? Do you mean that Dragon Ball character?
they're somehow this superhuman, monstrous like abnormality that pops out of nowhere, and not real people like me and you that are led into dangerous ideologies. I think that's the danger of dehumanization in any case. But yeah, and it lets you perpetuate violence against people who may or may not deserve it. But the idea that because I might demonize Osama bin Laden, who is like a mass murderer and perpetuated evil around the world, is going to make me more likely to demonize someone who doesn't deserve it. Maybe, but somehow that's bad. That's worse than.
No, I think you can be happy with. Yeah, I'm gonna repeat my hot take. I think you can be glad that someone's gone without dehumanizing them. I don't think dehumanization is. I don't think it follows that if you're glad that somebody is gone, that you are dehumanizing them automatically.
Not being able to celebrate, like, oh, thank
Debate me on it.
God, my fucking killer is dead. Thank God the family of mine in New York that got exploded is finally feeling vengeance against a terrorist. And that's why, like, I'm glad you're picking the extreme examples here, because I was going to fight you on, like, okay, What about Donald Trump? What about Charlie Kirk? What about like Nick Fuentes? What about these pundits that maybe are causing misery, that maybe are spreading evil ideas, but like ultimately, like they themselves aren't like causing direct harm to you. Maybe the president obviously is different, but like especially the pundits aren't doing this. So like the Charlie Kirk is like this, I think an edge case. It could go either way. But the fact that like you're not allowed to celebrate any single person dying is insane. Like
Yeah.
obviously there are plenty of ways that this could go poorly, but you're weighing the moral implication of celebrating the death of someone doing one of the worst things in the world versus, well, maybe in the future you might dehumanize someone else, so therefore you shouldn't do it. Like
That's
what are we
stupid.
supposed to do on V-Day? Just be like, all right, everyone, like the war's over, but it's too bad about the Hitler guy. I wish we'd have caught him alive and he could have lived a good old life.
Well, which society would you rather live in?
True. This is just stupid. I'm sorry, Wix. You're just being stupid. Again, you can be glad that someone's gone without dehumanizing them. That is my sincere opinion.
The one where they celebrate the deaths of their enemies, take trophies, hang them high from the rafters, right? Put them on the walls, have a grand old time. Or the
Yeah, we have to. This is debate brain, okay? And I'm a person that operates in extremes, but can you only discuss the most extreme ends to the spectrum? Does it have to be either you never express any happiness about anyone dying ever, or you just hang trophies, you just cut people's heads off and hang them on your wall? There's nothing between those two. That's just stupid. Again, kindergarten logic. This is childish thinking.
One that, again, removes their enemies, but they take...
But that is a lot of online debate, unfortunately.
They don't take any joy in it. They do it as a matter because it needs to be done. Like taking out the trash. It's not fun. It's not exciting. You shouldn't be like, yeah, I'm taking out the trash, but you need to do it.
Yeah.
In your hypothetical dichotomy, I choose the more empathetic one, but I don't think that America is taking Hitler's scalp and pinning it on the wall as a trophy. They're like,
True.
We fucking got him, boys. Although he got him, so we didn't get him. But the idea that, like, yeah, thank God we fucking killed that piece of shit is not somehow like the stain on society. It's not some horrible thing where it's like, oh God, we're disgusting because we celebrated the death of one of the worst human beings in the world.
Thank you, Lisa.
Again,
he's so confident in his stupidity, and it makes me angry. I am pissed. Thank you for the other $5. You can either die or thirst or be waterboarded. Pick one. True. Basically.
Taking the extreme examples because I think that it illustrates the point.
No, I think it's stupid. I think it's debate brained as hell. I think you pick the extreme because that's the only way that you can think about these things.
Let's use Osama bin Laden, right? You brought him up.
Sure.
Do you think that the people in America have used the hatred that, and you may even feel this is justified, that people feel towards Osama bin Laden? Do you think that has our politicians have used that to maybe put forth legislation or enact policies or executive orders that have led to bad outcomes for Americans? And the politicians have used that celebration, the fact that you have hated this person, as fuel and permission to do these things.
I think you're making a huge leap here because if you're implying that the war on terror and the Patriot Act and all of the draconian things that came out of the Bush administration were because of hatred for Osama bin Laden, it wasn't one, it was not celebration of his death because he wasn't dead yet. That didn't happen to Obama. Two, it wasn't hatred for Osama. It was fear of terrorism after one of the worst terror attacks in human history or in American history. So this idea that like, oh, hatred for Osama caused all those horrible policies. No, it was fear of terrorism, which was an overblown thing that also was perpetuated by a lie from the Bush administration and Colin Powell and all that. But that does not mean that hating him was what led to that. It's not even, I don't know how you would connect those two things.
Oh, you don't know how you would connect people being willing to put up with having less...
I don't know where the connection is here to being glad that Osama bin Laden died, quite frankly.
less groceries, less civil rights, because they hate their enemies more than they love themselves. You don't see
It
any
wasn't
kind of
about
modern
hatred.
examples of this happening currently today, right now in our political climate.
If I'm to project what I would imagine the WIC ideal government into 2001
What the hell? What is that?
post 9/11, it would not be, well, we don't hate them, so we won't do draconian laws. Everyone would still be scared of the next terror attack. They would say, well, I understand why he did it, and it sucks. You know, maybe he had his reasons, and we have to stop him. And it's maybe
You don't
hopefully
have
we
to
can
like the
capture him.
guy.
But we got to get after him and make sure he can't do it again. Not, oh, well, I don't hate him, so I won't do anything to prevent this from happening again. I won't be fear baited into passing, TSA laws and all that. That's going to happen anyway. It doesn't happen because you're celebrating the fact that he's dead.
True.
It doesn't happen because you
That's
hate him for
stupid.
killing Americans. This is like completely untied.
Yeah, but Wick is just Wick. I knew this would be funny the moment that he said, "We're gonna have a philosophical debate. We're going to have a philosophical discourse here." Brilliant.
I don't think it's untied. I think it's very tied together. It's very connected. I think that we're currently seeing in our public discourse, in our politics, people who are so hateful towards the libs that they're willing to own nothing as long as they can own the libs. They are willing to own nothing as long as they're willing to own the libs. And this is not...
Yeah, what does that have to do with the topic? Nothing. Now it's just scrambling.
This is new. And it's not something that came overnight. This has been step by step by step by step by step on this moral ladder of people excusing, celebrating, right, the death or harm to their enemies and taking pleasure in that. So much so that they are willing to sacrifice their freedoms, their prosperity, everything, if all it takes. They just want to own the libs one more time. It's addicting.
What does that have to do with anything?
It's an addicting thing.
Oh my god, Wick is so stupid. Wick is such a stupid person. Grizzler, have I earned you as my viewer? Are you enjoying the stream? I always ask new people if they're enjoying them. So I always ask a bunch of people to new viewers. I always ask for feedback. Do you have any feedback for me regarding the stream? I always take the individualistic approach to viewers.
Owning the libs and hating your enemies in the way that MAGA does, that has been perpetuated from the Tea Party, all like the Bush admin, all the way up till now, is not the same as celebrating the death of your
Hitler. It's not even remotely the same. Conflating these things just show how lost in the sauce you are.
opponent. Even MAGA, to an extent, didn't celebrate Jimmy Carter dying. I bet if Joe Biden died, there'd be some people celebrating. I bet most MAGA politicians would not be out there cheering that Joe Biden died. I really don't. I think there'd be a good chunk of it. But
that's
the idea
the strategic
that, like,
thing. But we're talking about the moral thing. We'll get to the strategic thing in a second.
Oh my god. Come on. Come on.
What I'm saying to you is, some of them might be happy that the guy they think is evil is dead, and maybe they'd celebrate it more behind closed doors. But these people wouldn't be out there being like, "Oh, good, like this guy was basically Hitler."
Thank you
So like
here.
this, now you're trying to tie like MAGA own the libs ideology, which we both agree is bad, to somehow this is downstream of people celebrating the deaths of their opponents, which has been happening for hundreds of years, far beyond like American existence.
I knew this would be a
but
mess.
there's hold on. Yes, it has always been with us, but we have had philosophies, religions, etc., books, stories, fables, all
Wick should never be uttering the word philosophy. It
of which warn people against celebrating their enemies. I mean, look, it's in Proverbs, right? You can what's that? Hold on.
Okay, give me the proverb. Give me the proverb. Wick.
Let me get the quote up. Celebrate not the misfortune of others, lest you begin to seek it. Do not gloat when your enemies fall, right? This is something that we have been...
gloating and celebrating that someone's gone is not the same thing. I think Wick just mixes it all up in his head and treats it all as the same. There's a difference between gloating and saying, "Oh, I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad I feel a sense of relief and happiness that this person is gone and cannot harm anybody else." Does Wick really think that this is the same as gloating? Does Wick not see any difference there? None at all? Not that I can articulate at this moment. You're doing your thing. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. I hope you'll tune in to future streams. You're an emergent property, true. I hope you visit next stream if I don't get hit by a drone.
Been taught by our philosophies, not just Christianity, not just Judaism, but it's there in Buddhism and all these other philosophies.
Yeah, being happy is not always the same thing as gloating.
We recognize what we turn into, what happens to society.
I hope he
when
points
this
it out.
becomes a thing.
Please point
when
it
people
out.
start celebrating the death of their enemies. It's addicting. It's an addictive substance. It's like meth.
The problem is, what I'm saying is, I can't believe you don't agree with this, that there are certain circumstances in which the celebration is tied directly to the cessation of the bad thing. So when it's Charlie Kirk, it's just ideas. So people celebrating this, like I said, around the fence. When it's Hitler, or Putin, it's the cessation of war. It's the cessation of millions of people potentially dying. And so this idea that doing that, which has always existed, like you said, when we start that poisons society, and not, this is the exception that we make of, when
You're
this
doing
happens,
the trick.
we can do it.
I'm not saying people who celebrate the end of war are bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the people who celebrate Putin dying is bad.
That's because you're separating the death.
Yeah, I'm glad Putin is gone. He can do no more harm. That is literally celebrating him dying. You cannot run away from it.
Death of figures and the end of war, when this is clearly the ways that things could happen. Let me give you a complete hypothetical. It's not war, all right? Let's say you had a rapist, okay? Every day, they're like,
tonight's a huge barrage in the city. Huge barrage.
Wick, 3 o'clock. It's raping time. They rape you, Wick. All right. All right. Now they say, hey, if I ever get caught and I go to jail, as soon as I get out, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna rape you again, Wick. It's 3 p.m. It's raping time. Okay. And then this isn't going to end, and then they die. You are now not allowed to celebrate the fact that there is no 3 p.m.
How grim. A person just wrote on Twitter, 2:43 a.m. in Kyiv. The awful attack continues. I don't want to repeat the same words. I'll write you in the morning. I hope it comes. This with being happy doesn't mean to make an over-moralizing pro-Hitler arguments. Yeah. This is so messed up.
p.m. Wick rape time anymore. Because why?
Hold on. Again, I can celebrate there's no 3 p.m. Wick rape time anymore. But I cannot celebrate, when I say cannot, I said should not. Well, I should not celebrate the fact that someone else died. $10 from Sarcastic Warlock.
I don't believe that Wick would be like, I'm not happy that this person's gone. I don't believe that.
Says, you were in a sewer talking.
I think Random PPO says, I think one of my hang-ups in this topic is when people say that those people not being here means that harm stops, which isn't true necessarily. Maybe someone else takes their place right after. Maybe. But in the immediate sense, yeah, it does mean that. Yeah, it does mean that. Right? Sometimes it's true, but not always. Like, it's a bit like saying, yeah, there's nothing to be happy about when war ends, because someone else might just start another war sooner or later. So should we even be happy when wars end, if we know that down the line more wars will happen anyway? One war ending does not mean that war ends. You know? Yeah, if a person that is an orchestrator of harm is no more, then at least in the immediate sense, the harm will stop until that someone else takes their place. Yeah. But it does not mean that the harm does not end in the immediate sense.
Nonsense about heroes. Why not debate a real hard right man? You want to attach it to Fuentes or some other clown at a bullfight? Engage with the true mythic man or shut the fuck up. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't
I have no idea what that
I don't know
means.
why you're real hard right now, but that's crazy.
Yep, Wick, you were trying to detach the fact. The reason I posed this hypothetical,
Sure.
although it is funny, is the idea that you could only stop this thing if they're dead. Locking them up will only prolong it.
I think that's okay.
Running
I think
away,
it's okay to
they're gonna
remove
find you.
an obstacle, yes.
Right, and you can celebrate removing that obstacle, right?
Again, no. You can celebrate that no longer you will live under the threat of rapins, okay? But if you're
Only
like, I'm
reason
glad
that
that bastard
Vladimir says, unfortunately, Lucy, for me, and for your audience, it means that we're going to listen to Wick while he's on Moral Olympus. True.
died, I hope he suffered. I think that makes you
You're attaching.
Yeah, that's so weird. Like if I say I'm glad, let's say Putin, because we're being treated with some bombs and drones tonight. Let's say I say, yeah, I'm glad Putin is gone. I'm glad Putin is gone. It doesn't automatically mean that I think I'm glad he suffered or whatever else Wick is adding on to this.
That extra part of the end. I hope he suffered. You don't have to celebrate the fact that he was in pain. Maybe it was quick. Maybe you got him with a quick blow to the back of the head. You didn't see it coming. He didn't even know he was going to die. All right. Now that we know this person didn't suffer, you're not celebrating his pain. You're not celebrating torturing him. You're not celebrating any sort of psychological damage.
That's just Wick is just adding on things because I don't know why, honestly, because it just makes it sound worse.
You're saying this ended because he died, and I'm happy about that.
Exactly. I'm glad this person's gone. I'm glad this person's gone. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
That's wrong because you're somehow able to semantically separate these ideas. I'm saying you can't separate these ideas. This man dying was the only reason the bad thing happened or stopped happening.
Okay, again, this is going to be the major disagreement we have. I think that you should, and in fact, it is.
Wick is an extremely sheltered person. I'm not gonna lie.
Necessary to separate these things because if you keep tying them together, right, it creates a permission structure for people. Because why shouldn't you just celebrate the death of Trump? Let's use Trump as an example. Why should you only celebrate his death? Why not celebrate the politicians who supported his death? Because they going away makes him less powerful and less able to do his things, right? Why shouldn't you celebrate that? Why shouldn't you celebrate the voters who voted for him dying?
Let's take a step back.
Parker, wrong. You're happy that they then want their corpses to be violated and turned into a costume for children and puppies for sex parties. Oh my god.
Okay.
Would you celebrate Trump losing the election?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you obviously are okay with the idea of people are happy that Trump isn't doing.
Now Wick's really starting to trigger me with that ball juggling. I know. It's been kind of irritating me as well for some
Trump
reason.
stuff anymore. That's apparent.
That's fine. Yeah, that's
I'm not trying. This isn't a gotcha. So I'm trying to pose to you that there are cases in which a bad thing can only stop with someone's death. And somehow you're always supposed to feel bad about the death part, even if the only way the bad thing could cease is that person's death.
You don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to feel anything at all, right? I am not asking you, even though
that's not how emotions.
And that might be
that's not how emotions work. you don't feel emotions on demand. Oh, I choose to be happy now, or I choose to be sad now, I choose to be angry now. That feels like a discussion about feelings from people that never experienced feelings. Like, oh, okay, I just, I just wake up and choose to feel certain. It's not how that works.
Thing that I would have to think about further, whether or not you should feel some empathy or sympathy for the guy, right? But my
Oh,
argument.
I'm sorry, you just feel the feelings. You don't choose to feel feelings. Feelings are not a choice. I'm surprised that that did not come up at all in this discussion. Okay, feelings are not things that you choose in some dialogue tree in your head. Oh, this happened. What emotion do you choose? Do you choose anger? Do you choose sadness? Do you choose happiness? No, you don't. You just, the feelings just happen. You don't just choose.
Today, right? My argument tonight is that you shouldn't feel.
You can choose not to act on certain emotions. You absolutely cannot choose not to feel them.
Happy
Why
about
not?
someone else dying, because again,
I'm really surprised that they're both discussing this as if you could just choose to be or not to be happy. You can choose not to act on that happiness, but whatever.
it's a
So
muscle.
every
It's a habit.
celebration of the ending,
habit.
if it was intrinsically tied to the death, every single time that happens, you should have a little voice in the back of your head to be like, "Hey, I know you're happy. All the bad things are stopping, but be careful."
Yes, I think
And
that would.
don't be
If
too happy.
everyone had that voice, the world would be a better place.
Okay, I can agree with you that if you had
So
people
you agree
checking
with that
themselves,
premise, though,
if you had
right? That if
people,
everyone
if you had
behaved like
people,
me, it
if
would be better than if everyone behaved the way you want to behave.
no, I think you would lead to this radical, empathetic danger where it's like, whoa, we can't be
Radical, empathetic world. That
literally.
how
This is
terrible!
like
Oh no, not a
yeah, like
horrible,
a paradox of
empathetic
tolerance where
world.
it's like, well, shit, like, well, maybe I don't want to stop it with death, but sometimes death is the only way you can do it. And this is going to make me sound like this fucking right winger, but this is reminding me of all their arguments where it's like the people are like, oh, if someone breaks into your house and is trying to threaten your family, can't you shoot them in the leg, or can't you do something can't you do a humane trap so they can't get no,
True.
you should blow them out of the fucking water with whatever means you can. And if they stop, and that was the only way to save your family, you can be happy about that. Fuck yeah, I just saved my fucking family. Sucks I had to kill a guy. I wish there was another way, but you know what? I'm happy he's not doing it anymore. And then you go and find out, wow, every night this guy broke into a new house and was doing this, and I stopped that. Fuck yeah, I got him. I'm celebrating the fact that I got him. And the fact that you couldn't possibly do that is insane to me.
But again, you're trying to tie these things together, and this is what you keep doing, that you can celebrate the fact that you stopped someone from doing something bad versus
Wick is a dumbass. I don't know what else to say.
Glad he's dead. There's a difference here. $5 from Sarcastic Warlock to say, and he quotes, "Man does not strive for happiness, only the Englishman does that," from Friedrich Nietzsche. Fair enough. $5 from Zephyr Hash to say, what Wick is saying is that some part of him will start to miss it. JK, I only mean to spread love even if you don't want it. Thank you for the $5.
I think this is we'll circle the drain on this, but we can leave it on this. Morally,
sure.
You believe that you can always separate the cessation of bad things from death, no matter what the case is. And I am saying there are absolutely always, not even close to a majority, but a portion of things that are bad, that are happening, that can only cease with death. And just because you're not happy that you have to cause death to make those bad things cease, you are absolutely allowed to celebrate when they happen, and that's a death because the bad thing is ceasing. And you can be a little sad, like, yeah, I wish I didn't have to kill this person to make it end, but god damn it, I'm happy that it ended, and it was only happy or only
I'm happy that the person's gone. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's more than fair.
Happened through their death, so I'm happy they're dead. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll just end with this. We are circling on this one. I want to get to the strategic portion, and it should
Yeah,
be
we
a
can
little
talk
more.
about optic cucking.
Yeah.
Just
Strategic option.
I'm bringing this up. I can't show you, but this is Wick condemns every single one of these people in this photo, reading the Hitler Dead newspaper and smiling. So
Okay. It depends
on
on
Veterans Day, Wick.
It
no
depends
less.
on why the Veterans Day was yesterday. First of all,
Whatever. Who gives a shit about it?
Oh yeah, whatever. The veterans don't fucking matter, right? But regardless, I think that hate is addicting, and the more you do it, and the more you're happy when harm befalls others, even no matter how justified you think it is that harm befell them, no matter how necessary you think it is that harm befell them. When you get a dopamine rush, when you start to feel celebratory, when you start to throw a little party, even in your mind, that when these things happen, I think it makes you, it's addicting. You seek it out. You begin to seek out more of this, and if you can't find your hit when an evil person gets their comeuppance, you start to lower your bar just a little bit, right? And I think this happens. Well, are you going to let
Anna
me
back on?
Oh,
I got to interrupt and say I want you to bring Ukrainian Anna on and tell her that she would be a bad person for celebrating the death of the guy who's Shahid droning her every night.
I have told her that. We have had this discussion on stream. You can go
what did
watch.
She say to you?
You can go watch. She didn't agree, obviously, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely did tell her this.
It's a lot easier for you to say we're not being shahided every night, right?
True.
I don't believe that
like she's like
good
bombs
things
are exploding all around her.
Hold on.
Her friends and family.
I don't think that the argument that it's hard to be a good person.
In your heart, Anna, that you fear.
Hold on. I don't think the argument.
Yeah, it's just stupid. Come on.
Is sometimes it's harder to be a good person is a convincing one. Yes, that's just true. I'll just grant you that. Sometimes it's very, very, very hard.
No, I don't think you're a bad person for being happy that the source of your suffering is gone. That is exactly how this should be worded. Random free PO. For the record, I have no problem with gloating and celebrating and being mean about it. Maybe it's not always the best particular decision, but I don't think it's morally wrong. Yeah, I don't think it's morally wrong either. And also, I'm not, I've not been attacking you. I'm not very streamer like. I don't tend to go crazy on viewers. Many streamers do.
To do the right thing because you have every incentive in the world telling you not to do that thing, right? Every incentive in the world is telling you you should indulge yourself in the hate. You should indulge yourself in the celebration of your enemy's demise. But I would argue, and as I have, that it makes you worse as a person. $10 from Sarcastic Warlock to say, thank you, Sarcastic Warlock. You were very generous today. It says, struggle is the father of all things. It is not by the principles of humanity that man lives or is able to preserve himself above the animal world, but solely by means of the most brutal struggle. Okay. Let's get to the strategic element of it. I'm sure you've seen. Let's start with Charlie Kirk here. I'm sure you've seen the memes, right? I'm sure you've seen the people.
I've never seen or made fun of Charlie Kirk.
No?
No, I've seen the Kirk. Everyone's Kirking it right now. Straight up Kirking it.
I'm so tired
Straight up
of
Kirking
Charlie
it.
Kirk.
Okay.
I am.
Do you think that is helping?
I am genuinely tired of Charlie Kirk. I want to forget about Charlie Kirk, but I cannot. I cannot forget about Charlie Kirk because everybody just keeps talking about him, and I'm tired. I don't want to think about Charlie Kirk anymore. I want to hear about Charlie Kirk anymore. Okay? I've just enough Charlie Kirk.
Politically.
It depends. So I post Charlie Kirk moment a week or two after, I said, fucking A, this is awful. They're validating their victim complex. They are going to use this to crack down on free speech. They're going to use this to take gun rights away from trans people. Now it's been, what, 2 months? And I'm like, never mind. Everyone kind of forgot.
It's already been 2 months. Wait, has it been 2 months since Charlie Kirk died? Is it actually? Holy crap. Has it been so long and people are still talking about it?
I don't care because they were doing this 10 years ago before any political assassinations. They were doing this for years. They've been demonizing us. They've been saying it's the radical, violent left. They're vermin. They're fascists. Every single bad thing that they ever
Press like on the stream.
said after Charlie Kirk, they were saying before. And maybe this pushed them a little bit to speed things up in terms of their crackdowns. But it seems to me that no matter what we did, they were going to do this anyway. They were going to find the worst of the worst of the worst. They're able to take the rhetoric from left-wing politicians, now excluding Jay Jones, who don't really say anything that fucking crazy. And they're able to paint it as if they're like the worst of the worst. They're the Hitlers of the world. So if they're able to do that, I don't give a fuck that someone is out there going, oh, ho, 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 neck or whatever, you know, with their freedom shirt on. Whatever, dude. Like, yeah, this is the straw man of what they're pointing out, but they were going to do it anyway. So, optics wise, I would have agreed with you 20 years ago. Now, I just don't care.
The issue is that we can see that it has helped them. It becomes harder and harder for people to draw lines between, and I think we should. Well, let me just ask you this. Do you think it's important that the average American voter see a stark difference between the right and the left?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think that when we begin to behave like the right does, that it makes it harder for the average voter to see the difference between the right and the left, even if it's just in small ways?
Much. Because there's a right-wing propaganda machine that is going to portray us as the worst possible version of ourselves no matter what, taking one person at one protest or one tweet and saying, this is the whole left. So it didn't really matter. Now, I don't think that is an invitation for us to all become that way. I'm certainly not going to be out there celebrating.
Why not? If it doesn't have any, if it doesn't make you a worse person and it doesn't hurt politically, why not?
Because I think there is a mass of people that could make this way worse. For example, if every Democratic politician was celebrating this, I think that would be very bad. I think that would leave room for a lot of normies who aren't terminally online to then also feel as if it is okay for them. In the same way that Trump's rhetoric has led to the rise of a lot of right-wing movements, you could absolutely have this shift the other way. But when you say...
people say systems around powerful people can continue where that is my main contention. True, but I don't think that. Yeah, I can agree. Although sometimes, depending on how things go, the system itself collapses with the person. And Nazi Germany did not continue as Nazi Germany after Hitler, right?
Oh, if one person did this here or here, is that really like hurting us optically? No, I really don't think so, because that was happening anyway. The degree to which they are punishing or portraying us as evil. I mean, I just saw this with the Charlie Kirk stuff. I was at this TPUSA thing in Berkeley. There was some protesters there. I think I saw a video of like 1 or 2 people getting in a scuffle. Maybe one person pushed a barrier. When I was there, nothing crazy was happening. The cops were literally, I didn't take photos of this, but you can kind of see it in my stream, sitting around on their fucking phones because it wasn't very dangerous. It was not violent. It was not a riot. What are all the headlines? What were they saying in the rally? The crazy left is trying to silence you. They're rioting. They're setting off fireworks. They want to murder you. They all want to make you into Charlie. They're going to do this anyway. Absolutely. 1000%. So no, I don't think a few people celebrating this is like, well, this is the end of like left-wing optics. I think spending time on this and like trying to scold that specific, person who said something weird, it's just not worth it anymore. Like I was calling out Destiny like you were for his takes on this stuff right after the Charlie Kirk stuff, because I'm like, holy shit, I think this is going to get people killed. I think this might radicalize your base. Now I'm like, look, we just fucking killed it on Tuesday. It didn't fucking matter. Absolutely not.
Hold on.
You know what? Whatever.
Hold on. Why do you think that we won on Tuesday? And first of all, first of all, you do recognize
The
that
strategic discussion is even stupider than the moral one. Vladimir, the average American voter can see the difference between right and wrong and think there is no actual truth, that the truth is somewhere in between, then yes, your country is done.
all the people who condemned violence, who did it and didn't celebrate the Kirk stuff, they outperformed by 10 plus points people like Jay Jones, who indulged.
Jay Jones won, though.
But he, again, was 11 points behind Spanberger. And what was it, like 6, 7 points behind the lieutenant governor?
Okay, he still won.
Randolph PPO says, Emo, there's always a multi-pronged approach. World War II had lots of battles and liberatory struggles that led to the outcome, and Nazis was never fully done away with, of course. Yeah.
He still won.
Mom Donnie barely won. He
won in a situation.
He won the most anti-violence positivity campaign ever.
Windows shaking from the explosions now. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling I'm glad that this person's gone at the end of the day. Let me check something. Google. Ukraine air siren map. There we go. This is the map that I use. Yep. This is exactly the map that I use. I am here.
And he barely scraped by, right?
Well,
like
again, that wasn't against MAGA. That was blue on blue, right? That was him against Cuomo, right? It's a different thing. It's a different calculation that have to be made there. But when we're looking at the red versus
how can
blue,
you judge the performance of all of these other races? Like you can't take into account like, well, hey, this is a
giga-quacked. True.
G versus governor, and maybe this one has more visibility. Or hey, like you can't say all of the underperformance is directly due to his like violent comments in these text messages.
what do you think it was due to?
It could be a million things. I actually don't know. I'm sure you could do an analysis on this, but there would have to be exit polls of people saying, I voted for Spanberger.
There are exit polls.
Can you show me? I mean, I know you don't have.
I don't have it up, right?
Could you bring up something that's like, hey, the reason he underperformed was because of his comments, or is it similar to other AG races? But ultimately, like, it doesn't seem to matter all that much for if the average like 1 in a million fucking leftist says something fucking crazy, because they're going to blow it up anyway. I agree that politicians shouldn't be doing this. In an ideal world, that you and I agree, Jay Jones should not be elected saying that kind of shit. But ultimately, it does not seem like it's hurting our electoral chances. So optically, like the optics argument, I think is completely lost after Tuesday.
I disagree. I think Tuesday showed that optics matter.
Oh my god. The symbolic victory does have a real effect on moral, even if it doesn't have the same influence on the real state of play to word it in a way that hopefully doesn't get me automated. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it's always, things are always nuanced, but I still don't think it's bad for people to be glad that someone's gone. Loud anti-air action happening now. I think I heard a missile flying. very loud. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. I honestly don't know how to... There you go. Now you can hear it. I turned off the noise suppression. Now you can hear what I hear. Welcome to my world. Okay, that shook the building actually. That was very close. It felt very close to me. I usually sleep through those. My goodness. You can hear them now, right? There we go, boom, yeah? Oh, my goodness. It is so surreal to... That is just so surreal to have this just outside and this in the monitor and reacting to Wick. My goodness. Jeez. Want me to turn the noise suppression back again?
It wasn't such a blue wave, right? Spanberger still would have pulled it out. If we were in a D+1 environment or an R+1 environment.
One moment, I'm gonna set my phone to charge. The important mission. Ouch.
Spanberger still would have won. Jay Jones would not have. And that is the difference, right? In a different environment, when we aren't looking at Trump doing all these crazy shits and things like that, and we have a more normal opponent, right? It absolutely is going to matter, right? Who is more optics minded than the other. And I think Tuesday demonstrated that. We could see it was measurable. It was measurable. We saw the people who didn't engage in that rhetoric do very well, and we saw the people who did do much worse. I think that blows the optics don't matter argument out of the water.
Wait, hold on. Maybe we can agree on this.
Okay.
Optics matter in normal environments. If you have two equally good candidates and one of them is endorsing political violence, That's going to be horrible optics. They will perform worse, 1000%. We agree on this. In the environment that we are in now, against the Trump sycophantery and the MAGA movement, I don't think optics matter, because no matter what, the right-wing machine is going to paint you as the worst possible version. They're going to say that you, like, if the right-wing machine can come out and say, every Democrat is the party of pedophiles.
I've turned the noise suppression back on. I think I've made my case with when I turned off the suppression.
They are coming for your children. And then you think that somehow amplifying a guy who made fun of a Charlie Kirk meme or made fun of his death is going to shift a right-wing person who is on board with the Democrats are pedophiles messaging. I don't think that matters. In a normal primary, it matters, versus two normal candidates. In a general election versus a normal Republican, it absolutely matters. Right now, it does not matter a single fucking bit, I don't think.
$10.
Not even close.
$10 from Sarcastic Warlock to say, Wick, you're desperate to pretend we don't exist and join us to a facade of the right. Yet we are here. Your hate may go hard, but our love for our people endures. We love you, but stop betraying us. Warlock, look, we'll talk later, Warlock. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't. I do not understand where you're coming from. But thanks for the money, buddy.
What is like, who's us? Is he like a groper?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've never seen him in my chat before. He's I don't know, but he knows me apparently. But here's the deal. I think that even in this environment, I'll give you that I think that Trump is destroying this country so hard and so brazenly that we could nominate Destiny and all his comments, and I think he'd still eke it out, okay? I think we could nominate me for all, I would think we could nominate you, and we would still eke it out. I think it doesn't matter who we nominate, that in this environment, it's going so poorly.
I don't think any of these people should be nominated, but...
The Republicans, the Democrats are just kind of destined to win. But we have to start thinking about, okay, well, what's next? What kind of world do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a world where we're governed by people like Jay Jones, right? I don't. I want to live in a world where we're governed by people more like Spanberger.
Sure.
And I think that it absolutely, especially leaders, okay, especially our politicians, they are examples, and they create permission structure for their party. Look,
oh my God.
Look at Trump. Trump, being as bad as he is and as rhetorically abhorrent as he is, has created a permission structure for the worst of the worst on the right to rise to prominence, to gain power, to normalize all these kinds of not only violent rhetoric, right, but hateful rhetoric and things like that. I think we can agree on this, yes?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, when our politicians start to celebrate the death of our enemies, cheer it on, say things like Jay Jones does, I think it also normalizes that for us, and I don't think that's going to be good.
But that's not happening yet.
It's not happening. What do you mean it's not happening?
Even Jay Jones wasn't celebrating the deaths of other people. He was saying, if you read the text messages themselves, which again I disagree with, in the same way you do, but it seems like maybe
we've already throat cleared on that.
Maybe they should suffer from their policies. Maybe her children need to die in her arms or something like that, right? It's not, oh, I'm so happy that my opponents died. Even our mainstream politicians aren't doing that.
I think it was close enough for government work, man. Like,
actually, if you want to say the real example, you can go back to the Saddam Hussein clip, although this wasn't his death, where they say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got him," and everyone fucking celebrates fist bump, because fucking fist bump moment. But in the same way when we got Osama bin Laden, fuck yeah, we fucking got him. Like, I don't care that he died in that scenario, and I care that we got the guy who is gonna keep perpetuating terrorism. Like, it's insane to me that yes, we can talk about our Democratic politicians leading us into a slippery slope of normalizing people, dehumanizing people. But the idea that this now applies to the most extreme cases, we're back here. Like, is it optically bad to celebrate the death of Osama bin Laden? If anything, if you didn't celebrate, they might view you as weak and soft, and you might lose.
That is true. Is it optically bad to not celebrate Is it absolutely bad to celebrate the death of Hitler?
An election because they think you're not the hard person who's going to go out and take out our enemies, right?
So I think that celebrating the death of even someone like Osama bin Laden publicly, again, it showcases how little care we have for even our enemies. And I think that
Yeah, that's a moral. That's not a strategic argument. You go back to the Hitler example. Is celebrating publicly that Hitler died, is that a bad look optically?
a country or a nation should, I think it is better for a country or nation
Celebration debate is less important, than learning from people's responses in general. That is true.
be seen as someone as a nation that values life rather than the nation that celebrates
agree with
celebrates the death of their enemies.
But
And
you can
again,
value life.
celebrating victory
You can
versus
value
celebrating
life
death of
by
enemies are not
killing
the same.
someone. You can value, hey, I saved a bunch of lives by killing Hitler. That's valuing life. That's saying, let's stop the Holocaust. That's saying, let's stop the war in.
Okay, by the way, nobody would like this is that thing when I have to put my foot down and say during World War II, when people were fighting the Nazis, nobody was thinking of stopping the Holocaust. Stopping the Holocaust was just a byproduct of the Nazis being defeated. Nobody set out to stop the Holocaust. The Allies did not set as one of their goals, we're gonna stop the Holocaust. Just so it's clear. Lots of people were happy, others were scared. That's my takeaway. That's fair.
Ukraine by killing the person perpetuating it.
We've seen the
That
results
is
of
a
this,
celebration
man.
of life.
I don't know how you
What's
can
the
say these
result?
things when we've seen the
Well, here, you
results
keep
of what
saying we
this
see
has
the
done to us
What
as
are
a
the results?
nation.
What has that done to us?
What is
Where are
done
the
to us as
negative
a
results?
nation, we are now celebrating throwing immigrants in jail because they might be Muslim.
Because we celebrated the death of Osama
In
bin
part,
Laden.
yes.
That is why.
That is not the main reason, but
I know. I don't know. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that Islamophobia is due to being happy about Osama bin Laden being dead. No. I don't buy that at all. Actually.
created
More
a
than, like,
permission structure.
half a
It's a
percent
again,
of
hate is a
why ISIS
habit.
Celebrated?
Hate is a habit. And when we indulge
think-
in it, it makes it easier to indulge in it further down the road.
You don't indulge in habits. You build habits.
You
First
would
of all. And second of all, again, emotions are not things that you can turn off and on demand.
to change my mind on this, you would need to show me the people that celebrated the death of Osama bin Laden are the same people in
Froze. Browser froze. My apologies.
endorsing the ICE inhumane practices. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the right wing who's celebrating ICE right now probably celebrated the death of Osama bin Laden, but tying these things directly, I think, is such a leap. I don't even know how you have these two ideas in your head. Like the dehumanization
True.
of people is bad, but celebrating Osama bin Laden is a big Venn diagram of like people who would be okay with doing that. And then like a little tiny overlap of people who want to celebrate like roughing up families and innocent people and throwing them out of the country and torturing them and throwing them in Guantanamo and throwing them in a alligator Alcatraz. Like those are completely different things to be celebrating. And just because a bunch of people who would celebrate all those horrible things would celebrate the death of Osama does not mean that that's a downstream of that. Those people
True.
are just like dehumanizing immigrants and dehumanizing brown people. Like, I don't know. I don't see how you can tie those two things together, but you
Yeah.
can't separate the cessation of evil with the death of someone.
We're getting into the spiral again, but we'll go for it. We are. And this again, it's the crux of the issue. Can you separate these things? How much can you separate these things? Should they be separated? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would argue that people, again, individuals and stuff, celebrating
I'm
when
definitely
someone
more with Cycle on this than Wick.
dies that they view as evil or bad, even in the case
Anything.
of Osama bin Laden, it showcases, it's like a window into the soul of our nation. and it sets precedent and it sets a permission structure for how people.
Random free PO. The fact people did celebrate says more than what anyone thinks about them doing so. Celebration was the impulse, and condemnation and fear was the response. Yeah, like discussing these things as if you can just control your emotions like a robot. It's
Are willing to behave. If you see the leaders of your nation or people in prominent positions of power and influence being okay with celebrating the death of someone they consider an enemy, you again take it upon yourself. You're like, oh, I guess that's okay to do. And a lot of people have a lot of really fucked up ideas about who's their enemy and who's not. And if we had a different culture, because we do need to compare the differences here.
Is there a culture that exists where this idea is kind of like seen out that you can show me, like where no one celebrates the death of their worst enemies?
I can think of religious cultures and things like that where this is again I would point to actual Christianity. I would point to Buddhism. I would point to these things where yes, absolutely these things are frowned upon, and we look to empathize rather than hate. And I think that one of the falls of modern Christianity is they've decided to reject that modern particular teaching, and it's made them all the worse for it.
The browser froze for some
I guess
reason.
if you're talking about, I guess I meant like a government, because sure, well, there's plenty of religions that are pacifist, but like the idea that a government and its leaders are practicing this like hyper empathy for even the worst human beings alive, and that's making their society better.
You keep calling it hyper empathy. It's not hyper empathy.
Not celebrating Hitler's death is hyper empathy. I'm sorry.
No, that's not hyper empathy. I'm not asking you to be. I'm sad.
The screen was frozen on my end. Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue what that means. I have no clue what actual Christianity is.
I'm not asking you to be. I'm sad about Hitler's death. I'm asking you not to celebrate it, both strategically and morally.
Okay, well, let's.
What is the strategic? What exactly is the strategic negative of celebrating Hitler's death?
We've circled around on the moral argument. Do you not understand strategically how good it could be to celebrate the death of one of the worst human beings ever?
Give me your argument.
Sure. Do you think if you had two politicians running post,
Oh, the internet is not working well. I cannot complain about the internet not working ideally during one of the worst attacks on Kyiv in a long time.
in 1945. One of them was like, hey, American pride, we stopped the Nazis and we killed Hitler, awesome. And the other one's like, guys, stop celebrating Hitler's death. Which one do you think is going to win the fucking election?
Okay.
True.
Okay, I'm not asking you to scold people who do this. This is you keep sneaking this in. I'm asking you to say the hold on, the politician who is like, we saved Germany versus the politician who says we killed Hitler. Which do you think resonates more with voters?
We can do both.
I don't think you
can. Hitler is saying we saved Germany
absolutely
and killed Hitler. Ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
In fact, you can say we saved Germany by killing Hitler. What?
Not, ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you that Saddam Hussein bumped his head when we captured him, is going to do poorly compared to the ladies and gentlemen, we got him politician.
$10 from Old School to say, Wick, if you think Dems are in the same universe as Victory in the midterm, keep you from that.
Liberal fascism.
I don't understand the liberal fascism thing, but thank you for the $10. And yes, I think the victory in the midterms is
still on. It's still on. This OBS keeps crashing.
Well, as I said, if Trump died today, okay, Trump dead. Do you think it would be better for us politically to not celebrate it, to express some condolences and sympathy, right, and just say now we can get back to the governing our nation, right, and maybe we can turn a page on this, versus yeah, I'm glad he's burning in hell and posting.
I'm still okay. If anybody was worried, if anybody was wondering, let me check that. Yeah, it's still ongoing. Let me check Twitter. Anybody still here? Are people still here? Are you even watching a debate while the city is being actively bombed? And I just lost electricity again. It is one of the worst bombings in a while. Very loud explosions. Very bad stuff happening. I'm watching a debate on whether or not you should be happy about your political opponents dying. And the bearded guy keeps saying that you are a person of questionable moral character if you celebrated Hitler's death. Which, okay, dude. Okay, dude. If you celebrated Hitler's death, you're a bad person. Okay, sure. Sure thing. Okay, continue watching this stupid debate.
I did because of that. I got baited when we thought he was going to die.
Yeah, I think that
we don't even look. We don't even have to go.
What do you think is going to do better for us politically? Which path?
Obviously, I think if Democrat politicians were out there celebrating the death of a president, that would be really fucking bad for our.
That's cool. I might end stream soon, though.
Country. I think that would hugely divide us. I think that would hugely radicalize the right. And I think that, yeah, we would be in a much worse spot. But again, I don't think that even most Republican politicians would have celebrated had Joe Biden died in office. And I think that's a good thing. Now, if people do it, if the citizens do
it,
if my immigrant friends and family do it, if my trans friends do it, if any person whose life has been fucked up that works for the government in the past few weeks said, thank God that fucking retard is dead, I don't think that's going to divide our country. No, I really don't.
I think it's going to make it harder for the Democrats to win. And I think it's going to be harder to...
Anyway, just bought a book on Polish nobility, and the delivery and client protection was more expensive than the book itself. Yeah, that sucks.
Get people who have been on the right onto our side, because we have decided to make a mockery of someone that they, even though they shouldn't, but they do consider him to be one of them, to be their champion, to be their leader. I think it alienates people that we don't need to alienate for no reason. It doesn't help.
Big dog.
Big dog.
I got to say this, all right? Imagine a world where someone has still on board with MAGA after everything that has happened, and they're switching over when he dies because the left doesn't celebrate. That's the thing that switches them over. Who the fuck are you talking about? Who are
I
these
think that
people?
there are
True.
people who just want to go back to normal, who want an off
The
ramp.
MAGA people want to go back to normal?
Yes, I think there are people on MAGA side who want an off ramp, but we have given them.
I mean, I sent $15, but the book is 5, for fuck's sake. That sucks, actually. Yeah, that sucks.
No
Yeah.
off ramps. We have shown them
That
what
is stupid.
happens to people when they try to come
I feel your pain.
back. We just mock them relentlessly. There's no way back for them in many cases. And we see this, a lot of extremist groups will do this on purpose. They will purposely separate the, well, I'll give you a great example, the KKK, okay? One of the things that the KKK does during their parades and their rallies and things like that is they put their kids up first. Do you know why they do that? So people will spit on their kids.
Because if they were in the back, you couldn't see them.
No, because people will spit on their kids as they go, and they take their kids and say, see, this is how they treat you. This is what they think of you. They call you a little kitty fascist. I think even Jay Jones said these fascist little kids, right? I think he made a similar comment, right? This shows the kids that there is only one place where they're going to be ever loved or accepted, and it's a radicalizing tool that they use to keep people within the KKK, right?
What does that have to do with being glad that Hitler died?
So every single meme that we put out about Trump dying and things like that is serving the same purpose.
No.
It is a bullet,
Celebrating Trump
an
dying
arrow
is
in
the
their
same as
quiver.
Spitting on a child.
Yes, they are using it for the same purpose.
Oh my god, this is so stupid. If the debate is what the title of the video says, I think I can pretty well answer in 2 sentences. Go for it. Go for it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm about done. I am 1 hour in and I think I'm about done. But yeah, give me your 2 sentences and I'll see if I agree or not. I think I'm gonna give you my take first. I think it's perfectly fine to be glad that a person is gone. And I actually think you can even do it without dehumanizing them. I think it's fine. I think if a person is causing great suffering to the world, then it's fine to be glad that they are gone. It doesn't make you some morally questionable person. That is my take.
It is a similar tool.
They're doing it anyway, is the point.
Hold on,
They're
it's far
already-
less effective. You keep saying that.
So yeah, give me your 2 sentences. I'll address and then maybe we'll end the stream on that note. So Lucy, do you universally think celebrating the demise of one's enemies is bad call? Or are there situations where it's kind of virtuous to celebrate their death? I don't think it's necessarily virtuous. It's like I said, I think it's perfectly fine to be glad that person is gone. And that is a form of celebrating their death. You cannot escape from that. Again, let's go to the Hitler example. I'm glad that Hitler is gone. He can do no more harm. I'm glad he's gone. Yeah, that is a way of celebrating someone's death. I think that's perfectly fine. Like, it's not even bad to say that even if you are a Christian or something. Yeah, exactly. I just, I don't think it's always... I don't think it's bad to always celebrate someone's death. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's universally bad. I very much disagree with Wick on that.
That they're going to do it anyway. Sure, they will. I'll grant you that, but it's going to be far less effective if they have less ammo. Okay, they're going to hurt a lot less people if there's less arrows in their quiver.
Ammo, What I'm saying is the degree to which the ammo would be amplifying and changing whether or not they win more people over or fewer people move to us is not going to change because people don't celebrate it. Because one, it's going to happen anyway. So even if one person does it, it's already there. And I think the threshold that the Rubicon, if you will, that shouldn't be crossed is when the
Wait, so
politicians
what are your 2 sentences, Conrad?
start doing it. That's when it's not okay. But just going
The internet is getting really bad, so I think we'll end soon. the stream.
oh, well, maybe if 10,000 people didn't celebrate or 30,000 people fewer didn't celebrate. No, I don't think this matters in the slightest.
Okay, I think that we can see this is demonstrably not true. Sarcastic Warlock for $5 says, "I'm very sad
This
about."
guy, man.
Look, hey, dude's finance.
Okay. I think we're done. I think once the internet is starting to crap out, it's just I have to cut my losses. All right. It's been fun. What did you think of the stream? Have you enjoyed? I will do my best to do a serious political stream. News, etc. Maybe I'll do during the day. I'll cover news, etc. I'm just not feeling very well. There's a big bombing, and I have a very, I have this weird tightness in my chest. Conrad says it also depends what they mean by celebrate. If you actively say on the internet, "Thank God Kirk died," that's pretty weird. But if you don't cry after him, that's pretty valid to me. Yeah. What if you just say, "You know what? I'm glad he's gone." That's it. Not even thank God Kirk died. I'm just, yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that he's gone. I'm glad that he can't do any more harm. Okay. I think I'm gonna raid you into someone. I'm not feeling super well. The attack is still ongoing. I'm gonna try to sleep a bit. See you later, alligators. I think we've squeezed out of this debate as much as we could. I don't think anything better is going to happen. Okay, I'm gonna raid you to President Sunday. There you go. Go, my children. Go to President Sunday. Go, my children. Okay, bye-bye. Good night. I send you all the love in the world.